I'm live. It is Wednesday, the 9th of April, and I am reading The Invisible Way by Reshad Feild. This was published in 1979, and it is a story about love and about death. So he's been in Turkey and he's now back in England, and he has met Noor. He was meant to meet Noor through Elizabeth. Noor and I ate at a bistro in the Soho district of London. I had known the place for over 20 years, in which time the menu had never changed. The owner, Madame Sophie, had cooked and served all those years. It was well known for the quality of its meals, and for Sophie, a woman of uncompromising character and compassion. "I'll be with you in a little bit, darling," she said in her Eastern European accent as we sat down. "Got to serve all my customers." The kitchen was separated from the dining area by a low wall. The staff was under Sophie's guidance, and she employed only those who wished to serve, and to serve well. "Bring some borscht for my friends," she shouted to the staff in the kitchen. "I make very good borscht, darling," she said to Noor. "And why should you be so lucky finding this one?" she said to me, meaning Noor, before turning to some other customers just entering the restaurant. Despite Sophie's brusqueness, her warmth made Noor and me feel completely at ease. It was a relief, as I had been nervous and uncomfortable all the way to the restaurant. I had taken Noor to my flat from Elizabeth's, so I could wash and change before going out to dinner. But as she had warned, she had hardly spoken. Something needed to grow, and it would obviously take time. The borscht was wonderful, as promised, and was followed by another speciality of the house, a chicken dish prepared in a white wine and cream sauce. A glass of wine each made the meal perfect, and then Sophie came back to sit with us as the coffee was served. "So, darling," she began, "where have you been all this time? You don't love Sophie anymore?" It was true, I had not been to the restaurant for over 2 years. When I came back to England from the first period in Turkey, I had not wanted to go to places I had frequented before. There had been so many changes in my life, both the outer and the inner, that I felt unable to see many of the people that I had known. "Come now," she went on, "what have you been doing? Where have you been? And who is this lovely lady?" I muddled through an attempt to explain what had transpired, but Sophie listened attentively. "So," she said, "you encountered the way. I wondered if it would ever happen. You were always so impatient that you pushed it away. Silly man," she scolded, smiling. "After all, I must have known you for nearly the 20 years that this restaurant has been open. And in spite of all the hints and stories, you never seem to understand." "Me, I'm a good fisherman," she said, taking Noor's hand. "But some fish don't bite. They think they are too important." "You're much more important than him," she said to Noor. "What is your name, darling?" Noor replied and went on to explain something of her own life story. "I don't know what you've done to deserve this one," she said to me, pouring my coffee. "You got a big woman here, darling. You be nice to her and treat her well. She knows much more than you do, so you had better be sensible this time." "Now then," she said, "let Sophie give you a little advice. Until you know what you are doing when you do what we call the work, just do the work. If not, then eat well, sleep well, and make love well. Me, I work all the time. Still. But darling, no more. Listen to Sophie for a moment. Sophie had some people in last night. Nice people, darling, but not very sensible. Sophie told them a story, but they didn't listen. They were not here, not in their bodies at all. What a funny thing. Imagine being here in this beautiful world and not inhabiting the body. Think. That is all these people do. They are not in their bodies at all, but in their minds. No good that, darling. Noah, scold him. I love this man. He's my friend, but you better keep him awake or he might forget you, she said, putting her arm around Noah and giving her a huge hug. Then Sophie get cross. Sophie's a big lady. This man's not strong enough to stand up to me. So you scold him all the time. Make him listen. Noah smiled, and I saw at the same time there were tears in her eyes. She leaned over and put her arms around Sophie's neck. There was silence for a split second, and then the door swung open. A raucous party of customers came in. Sophie turned around toward the door. What you doing, you noisy lot? She shouted out. People don't make noise like that in Sophie's restaurant. You be quiet and behave. What do you think this place is? Some sort of football game? Come in nice if you want to eat here. Pah! These children, they don't care about food, don't care about Sophie, only care about themselves. I watched amazed as the potential customers became silent, walked out into the street and re-entered quietly. Sophie went back to the kitchen then, saying that she hoped to see us again. That night, we stayed at my flat. Together we watched the spring sunlight break out over the streets of London. There was a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of the trees outside in the air was new and fresh after the rain had fallen during the night. There was no need to speak, to explain or even to question what had happened within each of us. When the sun was well up, we went for a walk in Hyde Park, enjoying the massed beds of yellow daffodils contrasting with the rich green of the grass. We watched the wind moving the flowers. It was a dance with the flowers swaying and curtsying in unison. But we noticed two daffodils right in the middle of the bed that had turned against the wind. They seemed angry, holding her hand, I said to Noor, do you see? Perhaps if we loved these flowers enough in recognition, they would turn round and face the right direction again. She squeezed my hand in agreement, and we stood quite still for a moment. Noor's hair was blowing behind her. We watched as the two daffodils turned their heads. The sea of yellow flowers was in harmony again. We went to Elizabeth's late that afternoon. She greeted us warmly at the door of her house and took us into the sitting room. Well, my dears, she said over the inevitable cup of tea, you've had a good evening, I'm sure, and I have had time to ponder many things. With the right sensitivity and training, we are sometimes able to attune ourselves to the world of possibilities. Although it does not necessarily mean that the things we see will work out quite as we would anticipate. But you've probably heard all this before. I expect. I think it fair to say, however, that your meeting with Noor was in the world of possibility. At the same time, it just might not have worked out. You might have deviated from the path for many reasons. Your teacher might not have recognized what was happening. Or you might have decided not to take his advice. Equally, Noor could have become bored sitting around here and gone off once again, or I might have been away when you called. Anything could have happened, but it did not, and you met. Certain factors helped in this. In the first place, you had met before and created a very deep impression on each other. Noor spoke to me about it many times, and even once asked whether she should try to get in touch with you. Remember, my dear, she said, hooting with laughter. Noor smiled. I'm not sure that she didn't blush, but I could only see half of her face. I strongly advised her to keep to herself and wait, for we both wanted to let destiny take its course. You had met. There had been an exchange of energy. There had not been the usual sexual attraction, and thus there were many possibilities. All this damn sexual attraction, people get stuck in it, thinking that it is love itself. Rubbish, she said loudly. Sex may be an expression of love, but most people land in bed without considering the meaning of love at all. It keeps the bed manufacturers happy, but love is completely forgotten. What was I saying? I'm sorry, but that subject is one of the particular controversies I have with people who come to me for advice, mainly wanting me to agree to their own confusion. Half the psychiatrists' couches and the gurus' ashrams are filled with people like this, who do not really want to risk change, but who want the security of feeling better. It keeps the profession going, I suppose, but it doesn't make much real sense. I once heard a definition of a psychiatrist as an illusion treating an illusion for an illusionary sickness. Oops, I'm being naughty now. One day I'm going to get myself into trouble with some of my good friends. It so happens, she went on, that if two people meet on what might be called a spiritual plane, and if the time is right, the union of these two souls can manifest in this world. It's no darn good floating around in some angelic sphere having a jolly good time and not doing anything about it here. Angels have their own job to do. They haven't got bodies as we do and are thus limited. Now there's a shocker. It may also be, however, that two souls meet and it is not destined that they are to be together in this world. They touch each other and they have other work to do. Yet the meeting can never be forgotten. It is ingrained on the soul itself. Remember, the soul is made up of a special substance that knows itself. It is a knowing substance, as the Sufi tradition says. In the Quran, there is a saying that we will try them until we know. We will try them until we know. And although this is not my own background, it does explain something of this process quite well. For if it is intended that two souls work together, they are tried in this three-dimensional world, although they may actually have met in a world that is not of time and space as we know it. A timeless world to which we are able to return when we have found the Holy Grail within right here. She thumped her foot on the carpet emphatically, making the teacups jump on the tray. But there I go again. You have got the whole of your lives to work that one out. No good telling you all the answers before you have had the chance to have... No good me telling you all the answers before you have had the chance to have the experience life can give you. Let's have another cup of tea and see what's coming up. Noor, dear, please go down and put the kettle on. This tea is so stale now, I could tan my innards like shoe leather. What is clear, she said as Noor poured the freshly made tea, is that you need some time together. But if what I have seen is correct, you must not forget that you are also part of a process that may make you instruments to express something for others to understand. You don't have to do anything about it, but you must become conscious of it. I think I mentioned yesterday that I wanted you to visit a beloved friend of mine who's living. I hardly ever see him these days as I don't have a car and he is crippled. We write to each other and about once a month we have a long talk on the telephone. Like yourself, he was involved with the dervishes in the Middle East for many years. He has some special knowledge that perhaps he will pass on to you. I shall write to him tonight so that I can spend a few days getting to where he lives. He will be ready to see you. There are one or two things I need to tell you about him, however, she went on. The first one is that he is dying of cancer, and is in great pain most of the time. No one knows how long he will live, but he is one of the only people I know who's ready. He has made peace with his Maker, and that is more than I can say for myself," she said, smiling. "I'm too selfish and enjoy life too much, I expect. John's condition is particularly difficult, in that he has an open wound on his shoulder, and there is sometimes a terrible smell of decay. You must learn not to react to it. Also, since he is paralyzed, he is in need of help. There are people who come in every day, but if he invites you to stay for a while, then you must learn from them what is necessary and take over their job for that period. Now, is that all understood?" She asked, turning to us both, one after the other, to make her point clear. "John, could you be a spiritual guardian for both, just as I have acted as godmother to Noor over the last 2 years? But you must listen, serve, and have much compassion. You will know then just how much he loves. And he does love so much, you know, that sometimes I wonder if there is anything else in him." To my surprise, I heard Elizabeth's rather gruff voice crack a little. "Silly old fool I am," she said, wiping the tears from her eyes. "I love that man so much. We would have married 30 years ago if we could have. But that was just not in the cards. Still," she said, "we must not be ashamed of being human, and I'm as silly as the rest." As she got up, she must have read my own thoughts. I had barely been around, and here I was on my way. "Don't worry," she said as Noor took her arm. "You'll get used to us one day. So much life is to do with good timing, isn't it? If you try and fight the tide, you always land up in the wrong direction. It is time for my rest," she said. "Noor, you go and pack your things. There's an envelope on the dressing table with John's address on it, and a map to help you find the spot, as it is very remote. Ring me when you get there. I shall miss you." She put her arms around Noor, and they embraced silently for a while. "Come here, you idiot," she said to me. "Give your old friend a kiss too." We all three started to laugh. The pressure that had been built suddenly melted. I could hear the beginnings of the internal rumble that preceded that extraordinary laugh. "Get on with you," she said, wheezing and spluttering. "You both have a very bad effect on me. Can't seem to stop, and when I'm not laughing, then I'm crying. I mean, I'm meant to be a very serious cultist, you know." She whacked her finger and very deliberately replaced the monocle in her eye. "Ah, that's better. Now, no one would recognize me." She smiled. "God bless you both, and may you be guided on every step of your journey." With that, Noor followed her and went to her room to pack. That is the end of chapter 6. Have a good day.